Oh, crap. I mutter under my breath, swiftly ducking my head back when one of the guards' eyes locks with mine. Yeah. The ex-soldier before me agrees, keeping his head low as he drops his arm to grab my hand and tug me to follow him. Let's get out of here, he states, and I nod, following his lead and hiding my face as much as possible by keeping my head tilted downwards. Hey, you two! I freeze from the sudden shout, my eyes immediately flickering back to the direction of the voice and taking notice of the guard I had made eye contact with earlier, now approaching us. I could feel Kirishima's grip tightened as thick metal footsteps of the man grows near. No doubt he heard the shout and was now trying to speed up his steps so we could hopefully leave quicker. Hey, I'm talking to you, the guard states, suddenly placing a hand onto my shoulder to get my attention and causing my feet to halt. My sudden stop causes Eijiro's head to snap around and turn to move back towards me, defensive, ready to fight if the guard possesses a threat to me. I gave our jointed hands a gentle squeeze, trying to ease the tension coursing through the redhead's bones as a friendly smile graces my features. I'm so sorry, I can hear you. There's so much going on, I excuse, letting an innocent giggle brush past my lips whilst I take this moment to look up at the gray-haired guard. The guard nodded in return, taking my excuse without question before mimicking my smile. Oh, of course, ma'am. Sorry to bother you. I just can't help but notice that you two are missing out on the festival, he informs. Oh, really? I wonder, and the guard nods, taking a step a little too close to me after a few people brush behind him. My apologies, I just noticed you are not wearing a mask, he finally comments, voice trailing off as he states down at me. Much closer than before, and way too close according to the redhead behind me. I nod passively, leaning back into Kirishima to avoid the close proximity of the man upon seeing the blush taking over the guard's face. An idea blinks into light into my mind. Right, of course. We just didn't have time to find the stands. I twisted the lie together like sweetened honey, taking the moment to lean forward slightly. My free hand brushes along the shiny breastplate attached to his chest, fingers striking against the metal and causing the guard's eyes to wind slightly. His thick tan-colored eyelashes seemed to flutter with emotion while his blush spread further across his cheeks. Understandable. Yeah, of course. He stutters, swiftly clearing his throat and bringing his hand up to brush his messy gray hair away from his face. Buttering up a guard can help us lay low and hopefully not get arrested due to the wanted posters all over the city, just a few feet away. A distraction was all we needed. With a slight flicker of his dark eyes, the guard glances behind me and seems to finally take notice of the tall soldier looming over my form. The gray-haired guard pauses for a moment, his smile faltering for a split second before he clears his throat. Actually, there's a stand not too far away that sells masks, if you'd like to join on the festival, miss. Returning his attention back towards me, his voice trailed off in questioning manner as he held his hand out in manner. Ian? He nods, and I shift away from my slightly facade state when a light squeeze comes from the soldier behind me. Oh, and this is Eiji. I am barely interrupted when the redhead steps out from behind me. The soldier moves to stand directly in front of the guard, both rivaling in height as they straighten eye to eye, but Kirishima's hair gave him a slight advantage. Kirishima? He answers to himself. I'm Tetsu. The guard replies with a huff, briefly turning away from the soldier to look at me again. I could escort you to the mask stand if you want, he offers, letting a small smile present itself across his face once more and further showcase his sharpened teeth slightly. That would be lovely. I start, but I would hate to take you away from work, Tetsu. The guard shakes his head, his demeanor more bashful from the nickname. It's no problem. Making sure ladies like you get to your destination safely is part of my job, he assures, and by now Kirishima seems to have had enough of the conversation. making sure he tugs me back a bit behind him this time. We're good, bro. She's already had all the protection she needs, he states, turning down Tetsu's offer and earning a slight glare from the dark-eyed man. His free hand lifts to hug Eijiro's arm, as to keep his gaze fixated on the guard, causing me to clear my throat in hopes of brushing off the tension that had spread itself between the three of us. Okay, then. Tetsu tilts his head in my direction one last time. I do hope to see you around after my shift, he comments before pointing off to his right. The mask stands aren't too far in the market. Just go straight this way and you'll find it, he explains finally. Thank you, I call, and Eijiro wastes no time in venturing forward, heading off without another word to the guy and pulling me along with our hands locked. As we walked, I catch a slight sight of the guard waving amongst the crowd before finally turning back to Kirishima to follow him further. Now in search of the mask stand that'll help us hide our identities. And thankfully, what Tetsu said was true, and we came across the stand without any further interruptions. By then, Eijiro's mood hadn't really seemed to calm down all too much. That element by the tension in his grip, of course he was mindful not to squeeze so hard he'll hurt me, and I was grateful for that. Are you okay? I finally ask after tugging gently on our clasped hands. He pauses for a moment, looking my way before his crimson eyes soften and he slightly lightens. I'm fine. I just didn't like the situation. I nodded at that, leaning into his side slightly as we took a step forward with a small line we had found ourselves in before the stand. Let's just get the masks and get out of here, Kirishima states, and I slightly agree with a nod, watching as he turned to the masks hanging throughout the stand. I figured something was wrong, but I decided to brush it off to the side for now and ask him about it later. The wait wasn't long, and nobody seemed to recognize us as we picked up our individual masks, paying with the spare money I had brought when we fled the kingdom and walking off in a random direction. Afterwards, we stopped to tie the masks over our faces. Hey, H? I called, and he nodded, letting everything but his eyes stay hidden with the mask he wore. Are you sure you're okay? I take the moment to ask as I step closer to him. The small action and sudden close proximity causes his eyes to avert away. Yeah, it's just, I didn't like the whole conversation back there, he finally admits. I pause, watching the crimson-haired man with slightly wide eyes as something in the way he had been acting. And finally, it clicks in my brain. He shifts beneath my gaze, red brows furrowing through the eye holes of his masks that showcases his confusion. What? Why are you staring at me? Are you? My voice trails lightly as a smile starts to stretch across my features. Jealous? The word causes his eyes to widen in shock, and from the little skin shown beneath his eyes, I catch a slight rays of crimson hue. He brings his hand up in a defensive manner, stepping back whilst I moved forward with my accusation. No. You can talk to whoever you want, just not him. So you are jealous, I claim, laughing as he shook his head in embarrassment. Reaching my hands up in an attempt to lift his mask, Kirishima quickly grabs a hold of my wrists and quickly pulls them down so I wouldn't be able to carry out my action. Why? I just want to see your embarrassed face, Red. I snicker and easily see him deadpan through the eye holes. We can't risk getting caught, Yin, he mutters, now salty from the embarrassment I had caused, with an innocent tone in his voice. I lean in. But I like seeing you flustered, Eijiro. Using his nickname like he used to use mine, he paused, body tensing before he clears his throat. Let's get out of here, Kirishima states, avoiding my eyes and letting go of one of my wrists whilst the other hand slide down to hold mine normally. He tries to brush the slightest subject aside, further focusing on getting out of here like he had stayed and trying to ignore the embarrassment of me being right. A few happy shouts call throughout the village, and suddenly a flurry of confetti falls from open windows above. A bunch had landed on both of our heads, causing me to jolt and let out a laugh when I turned back to Eijiro, catching sight of most of the colored pieces getting caught in his spiky hair. Seeing the reaction in his eyes lifted the hint of a hidden smile beneath his mask, and now I really did wish I could lift the wood and catch a glimpse of his lovely, sharp expression of happiness. My hand twitched with the thought of lifting the mask just to see his mouth, or even the tips of his pointed teeth as he grinned. The chorus of celebrity voices continued as he suddenly shakes his head, sending most of the colors out and free to continue their journey downwards towards the floor, and knocking me from my heart-filled thoughts that included blowing our cover just so I'd get a glimpse of his familiar-shaped teeth. Kirishima doesn't bother picking out the extra ones, still stuck within the red mess atop of his head, as the rhythmic sound of the crowd stomps and the music continues to bounce throughout our ears. I take this time to finally glance around, and to be my bewildered glance, a circle had formed beneath an area surrounded by lanterns that hung beneath the separate houses. An idea immediately flickered to light in my mind as I watched the people move together, all mostly with partners, might I add. How about a dance as my apology? I offer, smiling behind the wooden mask strapped to my face, but though Kirishima's own mask, I catched his eyes whining before he did too, looked into my direction as I gazed in, and with furrowed brows and a new unsure tone in his voice, I don't think, come on, it'll be fine. I swiftly cut in for the 100th time today, taking his distracted moment to drag him forward. As we suddenly step into the slight traffic of people, Kirishima stumbles behind me, regaining his footing to catch up with a few seconds. Ian, I really don't think this is a good idea, he informs, leaning over my shoulder as I continued forward. I would love to dance with you at least once before we go. You could hear the smile throughout my mask as I glanced up, meeting his gaze and catching sight of the red hue fluttering to life along his mostly covered cheeks. And now, as we run the massive dance townsfolk, I came to a stop with the redhead beside me, tilting my head upwards to catch his gaze. Please, Red, I wonder hopefully, or if something in your gut is saying that this would be a bad idea, we can turn back now. I reassure, watching his beautiful crimson eyes flickered from me to the lantern-filled area for a few seconds, contemplating. It's not that, he states, eyes avoiding my own as a nervous chuckle meets my ears. I don't really know how to dance with a partner.